back 76 to come out in circle or to the subject address.
Check 1, 2. We record. Alright, you guys. So, it's Oscar here. Yeah, long time no see, motherfuckers. Woohoo! Yeah! Ready to fucking party! Let's party! Let's have a parade! Woo! Alright, so, yeah, firework display. So, in the past year and a half, I've just been chilling out, like, doing a bit of meditating and focusing on some schoolwork and just trying to, like, build myself up, I guess. I think it's kind of important to do that and just like stay grounded and, you know, go out and have those experiences with your friends and stuff and become, and I'm back, but I'm kind of ready to do it in more of a way that's more balanced, and just make, you know, content that I like. I mean, when I was really immersed in it in the 4 years, I really went like hardcore. Man, it was like, this was all I read. Like, I ate, slept, and breathed frickin' our cause. Like, it was insane. You know, I worked with everybody in the movement basically, and I think just, you know, after my senior year, just when I was starting to college, like I still made some photoshops at the beginning of when I was going to community college and stuff, but you know, I felt I was starting to get, you know, a little bit exhausted, and it was just, even to just make a Photoshop was just like, or just a simple video, it just like, it just isn't resonating with me at the moment. It's just so burned out, and so yeah, I just kind of started, you know, looking into like Alan Watts and, you know, and you're gonna cringe, but Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan and stuff like that. And, you know, I know you're gonna, I know how a lot of people feel in, you know, in our circles feel about Jordan Peterson, but like, you know, I mean, my thoughts on the, like, I started watching the guy, and, you know, if you really do listen to his lectures, Maps of Meaning, his personality one with, you know, Jung and the Lion King. You know, Peterson is actually very impressive for an academic. I mean, a lot of the academics that I know are... Well, actually, I know a pretty good amount of academics who are, like, you know, not complete SJWs. But, like, you know, that's kind of the norm, is, like, you know, very secular, you know, postmodernist, flirts with Marxism. Like, that is the standard for being a professor in the universities. Whereas, like, Peterson will talk about mystical experiences. He'll talk about, like, what's necessary for personal growth, accepting personal responsibility. And, you know, people have said that, you know, they've taken his advice and they get like 3 job promotions and crazy stuff like that. And actually, I've been, you know, I mean, I grew up with a single mom, so I mean, it was kind of, and even the reason why I joined the alt-right, I think, was because I was kind of, you know, I had family and stuff, and a, you know, great family and a grandfather, but like, you know, he taught me how to use tools and stuff. But that solar energy was really lacking, and I think Jordan Peterson and all those figures are kind of a resurgence of, and even our movement is a resurgence of the solar energy reasserting itself on the pendulum. And so, yeah, but so I've been I was, you know, really kind of honing in on my spirituality, meditation practice, and even this summer, just before my going to community college, you know, when I was working on the Our Cause videos, and I'm sure this is fucking obvious, like you could just see it in the video and some of the photoshops I was making. You know, I was reading The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot, and I was also doing acid. Yeah. So, actually, not quite to the day, but basically like almost exactly 2 years ago was the first time that I did LSD. And oh, and just a warning, like, you guys don't just do anything because some fucking clown on YouTube says it, guys. Do your research, set and setting, guys. But no, like, for this to make sense, like, just to give a bit of background. Yeah, so I did I think it was like half a tab of LSD like 2 years ago, and I saw like all these like swastika patterns like all over the place, these fractals, and but like in terms of like the state of being I was in, like I was able to just go through. It was like Jung was just like, it was a personal session with Carl Jung, almost like a year's worth of psychotherapy within like a couple hours. I mean, it was great. Like, I mean, do your research. You know, it's powerful, and you might not be ready to, you know, accept all that stuff in your psyche, and so that's why I think astral projection and meditation and stuff like that are, you know, the more optimal options. But for me, I wasn't really able to meditate properly until I had this state of consciousness. But anyhow, so I was really able to see what's possible in terms of your state of being. And now looking back 2 years later, I mean, I've done the meditating, I've been working out, I've been changing my diet, I've been working with clients and setting those things up, you know, and talking to girls. Like, I've been doing all this other personal development stuff that's like personal growth kind of things that are like really necessary for you to evolve. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, you do this like one little thing and like everything's, you know, whatever. But, you know, it could still be pretty powerful and be very life-changing. But you still have to, you want to avoid the trap of what's called Zen devilry, where it's like, oh, you know, the universe is, it's a fucking game, man. So, like, why give a shit? That means I can, like, you know, play video games and just jerk off and everything will be fine. And it's like, no, get off your ass, you piece of shit. Like, you still have to start your business and talk to girls and have a family and not be a fucking degenerate because, you got to be engaged with life. That's what the Bhagavad Gita teaches. You got to be engaged. You got to go out and, you know, destroy your enemy. Enemy. In echoes. Okay, but so, yeah, so I've had these experiences, and they really kind of, I mean, it's, I think from the past I was kind of working from like more of a place from ego. And I kind of want to talk about this for a bit because, you know, in our movement, you know, that's kind of the detriment of a lot of the things that I've noticed in the 4 years is like, that, you know, I've worked with everybody. I really tried to, you know, not be involved in the drama as much as possible, except for certain cases. There's certain people that I wouldn't associate with. And we could go into that later. But anyways, so I really tried to just like, you know, be a hippie and fucking, you know, work with, you know, as many platforms as possible and just try to like get us to get content out there and really like, you know, to the best of my ability and like just like do my, like what I could because it's my duty. But, you know, I mean, even then, like, I was, you know, it's like when I was fucking 8, you know, it's like in this fucking materialistic society, everybody's like obsessed with fame and all this crap. So like, you know, I think that's part of what we suffer from is like everybody kind of wants to be like, we learn about this stuff and then, oh, we want to be a leader, but it's like, okay, that's good. That's a good thing, but that's a good to have. But it's like, do you have what it takes to be a leader? Have you studied leaders? Have you read the books about leadership? Have you studied history? Have you studied psychology? Have you, and most importantly, have you, and this is what I've been learning to do the past year, and you know, it's a process. I'm not the fucking Dalai Lama or some shit, but like, or Yoda. But you get people to take, really the way you get people to, you know, you red pill people is like you get involved in your community so that way if you get doxxed or whatever, or you know, like nobody fucking cares. Like I've told people about my beliefs and it's like they don't give a shit because they like me as a person. And so, but if like you know, you're a fucking loner, and like this is the only thing they know about you is like you're some fucking, you know, it's not gonna work well. Whereas like if you're like a chill guy, you know, a friend of mine would like fucking read the Turner Diaries in class, and like people that like that's so fucked up, like that's like what the fuck. But then you know he would like, you know, be chill and you know be fun to smoke with, and like nobody gave a shit. So if you adopt, if you okay, so it's like you want to become a leader and you want to do something for this cause, and I'm gonna rip on like the 4chan boys for a little bit. All right, you guys. So you fucking weenies. So I mean, shit posting is great and everything, and I understand it because we're not allowed to be boys. But it's like, you know, this one goes out to the neats. I am of the opinion, and this might cause a little bit of controversy. I can talk, I promise. But no, but like you're not gonna really, I mean, being a neat and shit posting can get you so far. It can do some things. It can get viral videos. You know, posting memes around is great, but that's only the start. I mean, that was great as of 2016, but in terms of 2018, 2020, all the way up to 2040, you know, a strategy that lasts the whole century, the rest of our life, you have to make yourself great again. You know, really, and I actually want to make a course eventually on this. It's like how to troll professionally, like Sam Hyde tier shit, and even beyond that. And go from like a little chicken to a fucking fire-breathing dragon where you're able to, and maybe I'll even do a seminar on this shit. But like, and charge you weenies like $1,000 so you have skin in the game. Fucking Tony Robbins style. But like, so the way to transfer from being like a neat to like a fucking, like warrior king is by, you know, working out, by reading the books, by, you know, maybe even getting a small-time job and moving out if necessary, you know, because like parents suck, can be fucking, you'll have more freedom, you won't have to deal with their gay bullshit, you know, and fucking normies, and you'll be independent. Like, we want self-reliant, independent, responsible young men and women. Like, that is the message that, like, we need to practice as a movement. And I'm really even thinking of, like, potentially starting my own movement just because I've been in white nationalism and the alt-right in the past. And strategically, I think that, yeah, and this, you know, I think that perhaps we can, you know, William Pierce and Rockwell and all those guys, and, you know, everybody, and Richard Spencer and Duke, you know, all these guys, I mean, they've done some good things, but in terms of, you know, this year and, you know, moving forward, I do think that as a whole, there's some things that we can improve on, and just with, and no, like, this is, I mean, like, I'm really, like, I love our people, and there's so many cool people, and there's so much potential. I mean, this is like Fight Club, but just the infighting that I see, it all goes back to ego. So like, if we all just like chill, man, like listen to a little bit of Alan Watts, and just like take a breather, and, you know, just really get in the moment and get touch with that like deeper awareness. I think we could, if we had a little bit of zen, a little bit of focus, a little bit of discipline. I mean, we've gotten so many results in the past, you know, 2 years, especially with the election. Like, that was great. We've gotten some good results. But if we just, like, you know, take up some martial arts, you know, really go out there, you know, stop with the neat bullshit, and, you know, if we start shit posting in real life too, because that's fun, you know, like more media has been out there, and the quality has been going up. I see, you know, Lauren Southern and Brittany Pettibone have been getting Generation ID to the mainstream. I'd be interested in, you know, potentially maybe working with some people like that someday. But, you know, if we really get our shit together, if we really get our house in order, I think that, you know, and perhaps start a new thing, start from scratch, and really, you know, like I joined a fraternity this semester, and in order to join it, during the rush, they have actually a set of standards that they adhere to see if you would be a quality member of their organization. And, you know, I think we need some kind of like if we study the structure of like fraternities, the good ones, like especially the older ones, we could actually, like, I learned a lot from that this semester. Actually, that's actually a great, just as a side note, like that is a great piece of advice is that I can give you is, if you're currently in a college, you know, look into joining the fraternities and find one. You know, I mean, getting drunk and nice, it can be a nice male safe space. You know, getting drunk and partying and rites of passage and all that shit. Yeah, that could be fine. But if you really want to grow yourself, I suggest really looking into the history of each of the fraternities and seeing if, you know, finding one that kind of aligns with our, you know, pro-Western, pro-American values. You know, the one I joined, I won't say the name, but it was top notch. You know, I found a lot of guys in there who were, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, completely red pilled, but like, you know, just it was refreshing to be around guys who weren't total cucks. Like these were fucking men, like who had sense of boy humor. And I could be myself around, and I didn't have to censor myself, and it was just great. So, as a survival tip, I highly recommend finding stuff like that. And just, you know, overall, just, you know, if you're in college or high school or whatever, just focus on, you know, building yourself up. I mean, you know, there's like, okay, we have the grand vision of like, we want a homeland for our people. We want, you know, these policies to change, but how are you going to be able to implement those changes if you can't even get off your fucking ass and stop playing video games and jerking off to hentai for 5 minutes? I mean, just to be completely blunt, like stop with the fucking Cheetos and being in your mom's basement. Like, get off your ass. Like, stop listening to this right now. Fucking, and you can finish it later. Fucking go out, get off your ass, go for a walk, go for a fucking, do fucking yoga, meditate, like work out, do all this shit, change your diet. Like, if you have to start with yourself. Like, and I'm not saying that I'm fucking perfect. Like, this is still a process. Like, I've been doing this shit for a year and a half, and, you know, there's still all my neuroses and all that bullshit that we all got to deal with. But if you even just start with a simple working out habit and or something, or a meditation, you start with these simple habit. Yes, we have the grand vision. The vision is there. It's already important. It's in the ether. It's good. We will get that shit to manifest and become more dense and more 3D as time takes by. But as a start, you know, law of attraction. But the emphasis is on the action, to me. That's how I think the law of attraction works. But anyways, and once you start taking the right actions, you know, the geometry of your life will work. Once you start taking the necessary action and making the right sacrifices, you know, right now I'm starting to see the fruits reveal themselves. You know, there's a line in the Bhagavad Gita where it says, you're entitled to the labor, but not the fruit. And, you know, you can interpret that as like, yeah, they're just trying to fucking make money and, you know, fucking get you, blah, blah, blah. But the way I interpret that line is like, you know, often the process is more enjoyable than, you know, often we're after just the results because the ego is lazy. The ego is a lazy fucking gremlin. I mean, you know, and you need it to survive. But anyways, but so, you know, because the ego is lazy, it just wants those money bags or the hot girl or the car, but doesn't take the time to calculate, you know, oh, you know, how can I actually like implement this and like put it in the work? Like everybody wants to be a millionaire and a billionaire, but it's like, okay, have you studied the lifestyle of millionaires and billionaires? Have you seen how they perform? and so forth. But so I often find the process to be more enjoyable than just the results. You know, for instance, when I'm like working on a video or something, you know, I'll be like, when the project's over, you know, it's like I'm happy to release it, but like when I am most happy is like the third or fourth pass, when it's like the draft is done, I'm starting to do the animations, and I'm just like having a blast, fucking going in there and, you know, making like crazy ass VFX. So, you know, when you're going out for runs or talking to girls or starting a business or reading books, you know, or trying to study for school, you know, try to make you can make anything into a meditation. I mean, just, let's say if you're reading a book, just be present and try not to let your mind cloud things too much. I know it's hard because, I mean, when you start to meditate, it's very, and just like pay attention to a tree. Like, I guarantee you couldn't even look at a tree for a minute. I know this because I've been meditating for a year and a half, and I still can't, you know, just like focus on one thing for a minute straight. I mean, like, but when you start getting these levels of concentration, everything else will improve. I mean, meditation is a kind of meta skill. But so to bring it back to metaphysics, no, to bring it back to your daily life. So let's say you're running. When I go out for a run, you know, I'll put my music on, I'll look at the nature around me and try to be present, and you know, and whereas, you know, if I just was like after, oh yeah, man, I want those abs, dude, like a fucking weenie, like a weak bitch, like most fucking middle-class white Americans, the fucking weenies, the boomers, like most of these cunts. So instead of just, you know, wanting the result in the six-pack abs, you know, you're setting yourself up to failure. Whereas if you just enjoy the process of running and you make it enjoyable, or even your dishes, you put on some music and, you know, you're cooking, and then you enjoy your meal and you're fully present. If you're fully present or you're studying, if you actually try to find something in the textbook that's actually relevant to your life, you know, if you really enjoy the process with anything that you're trying to do, you will have, instead of being after just the fruits, if you actually enjoy the process, you will get a lot of shit done. You will get a lot of shit done. I mean, I'm at a point where I decided to drop out of school because I talked to some clients, I did some budgeting, I'm already going to meet some financial goals. I will be working full time. I have some mainstream work, you know, and I'm sure they. Just having a sip of my coffee. I'm sure that you know, the fucking, our opposition is gonna make the connection at some point between who I am and you know, my mainstream work and all this bullshit. But, you know, I don't give a fuck. Any publicity is good publicity. But, you know, before that time period comes, I do want to, you know, get some projects done while I can. But yeah, I mean, this summer, I'm coming back, you know, so I'll be working full time, to make, you know, some of my more mainstream work, you know, music videos and stuff. And also to, you know, get some projects going again, you know, maybe for, I'm not sure if I'll do it for under Omnify, or, you know, maybe I probably will, but I also want to start some, I have some other ideas for pages. Like, there's this like current of, you know, people like Tucker Carlson, Jordan Peterson, and so on, like, who are like, they're in the know to some extent, you know, but then it's like, you know, they make these cringy remarks about fucking Israel or whatever. And, you know, I think it would be nice if we had content that was kind of like that rode that wave of, like, you know, sort yourself up, take up personal responsibility, and that could be the main message. But then, like, you know, there could be little whistle blows that are kind of like in our direction. You know, and just like it would be content that, like, could really go mainstream and, like, you know, get people, to young people especially, to, like, go out and, like, work out and be bold and be dangerous, you know, a sort of intellectual fight club, or a real fight club. Fuck those intellectuals, fucking jerk offs, fucking academics, weenies. But where was I going with this? Oh, so yeah, but like I think if we had some like the thing that, you know, like I have some family who, you know, personally I'm just kind of pragmatic. Like if we have to, in terms of economics and politics, like I'm of course all of us know this, like, you know, we're kind of a mix of like different philosophies, ethno-nationalism, spirituality, metaphysics. We're kind of at the cutting edge of all of this. Meme magic. You know, we're at the cutting edge of a lot of dangerous ideas. It's like it's a resurgence of something much deeper. So it goes much deeper than left and right. So, you know, if it makes sense to, for us to like free up the market a bit and, you know, in terms of our state, then let's do that. But then if, you know, we got to distribute the wealth a little bit, then let's do that. I mean, fuck, I don't care. You know, it's not really as simple as like socialism or capitalism. I kind of hate that dynamic because if we use both of the harness the energy of both of those as systems, that would be very powerful. We could have the golden mean, as Rockwell talked about. But so, anyways, so a lot of, to bring this back to, you know, my idea for like new pages is like, I kind of want to start something that's like, you know, there's like this resurgence of like American patriotism because of Trump. And even, you know, just being part of why I think I'm kind of coming back to my senses is, and stop being a fucking, you know, gay ass hippie vegan, a fucking Zen cuck. No, I'm kidding. Like Zen's pretty awesome, but like, I realize it sounds pretty hokey. So if you guys want to poke fun at me, I mean, go right the fuck ahead. I mean, but anyways, but so, yeah, I'm like, I'm full of shit. Like everybody's full of shit. But so, I think that if we had a patriot, like a second Tea Party, but like with more teeth, with a backbone, more balls, like if we had, or like the Ron Paul revolution, if we had something that was like really patriotic, perhaps pro, you know, free market, just because, not because, you know, we're actually like, oh yeah, man, let's shill for the fucking, you know, big corporations and all this shit, man. Like just free market, fucking anything goes, like some Ayn Rand bullshit. But like, you know, we have, I mean, we could just be libertarian or, you know, pro free market on paper, just because, you know, like I'm not opposed to like the idea of distributing the wealth and like paying for roads and making education cheaper and helping out working people and looking out for the little guy and the environment. Like all those things are great things. But I just think in terms of the momentum, you know, perhaps we could, and because the Marxists are like so hardcore in the academics, I think, and because of like where we are as a country right now, like we are very free market. So I almost feel like we could use business and libertarianism and these kind of things as like a, you know, we could kind of like bring America back to where it was in, you know, even like the 50s or maybe even just like the 80s. Like if we could just make the 80s great again. I mean, if we could just make America the 80s again, I think that would solve a lot of our problems. Fucking go back to Karate Kid and all that shit. Def Leppard, although they were British. But anyways, glam rock. So anyways, but so if we had a movement that was like pro-Americana, that had more balls and more teeth to it, was like pro-capitalist on paper, and it would maybe somewhat of a smokescreen, but like, you know, the based, like one idea I have for the platform is like the based patriot or something. I'm kind of playing with it. Don't steal that. I want to make it. But like it would be like pro-American. You know, we'd have all this patriotic stuff, but then once in a while we sneak in like a Pierce video or Rockwell video. Like that's one of my strategies. Is like, you know, I mean, I understand, like, for instance, somebody who I know, um, that I met when in my time in university, like the more I got to know him, like the cooler he fucking is. Like I mean, like I think he has like center right leanings. Like he doesn't see, you know, it's like I think he has like some conservative ideas, but like he's not a cuck-servative. Like he just like whenever the fucking left, you know, he makes just all these snarky talking points about, you know, the left and like their versions of history and like slavery, and like he just tells it how it is, and like he completely debunks it. But like, you know, if I were to be like, oh yeah, man, like this guy is just a fucking conservative, he's just a conservative, man, like fuck him, and be like a spurg and a fucking puritan, you know, or whatever, and be an asshole, then like I would lose a fucking ally. Whereas like I'm getting to know this person, and he's got fucking influence. And so if we like I mean, like, this was, you know, if we hijacked, like, we kind of did that in the Trump campaign. I think there were some people who probably, you know, knew people in the Trump campaign, and really, you know, we pushed that, and that was good. But like, that's the kind of thing, is like, if we form like a bridge between like us, the nationalists, and like the conservatives, I think that could be really powerful against the left, and even a bridge between, like, you know, some of the actual like genuine progressives. If we have dialogue with them too, I think that would be very useful. I mean, yeah, I know, you know, it's like I have family who are like pro-Israel and all this shit, and I'm just like, just gag me. But it's like, you know, but it's nice to have somebody who's still like, you know, doesn't buy into the white privilege and all the bullshit. And it's nice to have somebody who kind of like listens and doesn't really like, you know, we bust each other's balls, but it's like, you know, who doesn't really create, like, we can just have discussions about ideas and just like be mature about it, you know. And that's, I just think if we, to wrap this up, this part, I think if we made more of an effort to reach out to conservatives, you know, you know, that's a very large part of this country, and that's the part that won in the election, is like, if you know, they're like the people who voted for Trump, like his base were pragmatic, down to earth, God-fearing, deeply patriotic, like small business owners and like working people. Like, those are the people who won the fucking election. And like, they are the backbone of this country. And so I think if we like gave them like more teeth, more of a backbone, like more hard hitting, like, you know, the GOP on fucking with like inject the GOP with fucking in its base with fucking steroids, not literally, but metaphorically, like that kind of thing, like GOP fucking squared, you know, like an actual conservation of one's race, like, and one's culture and heritage. I think if we made a movement that was kind of like that, and then if we also, you know, played with some environmentalism, and, you know, having dialogue with the progressives who will give us a fair trial, my freedom of speech, my freedom of association. But like, you know, I think if we have some dialogue with like, well, you know, the SJWs are low hanging fruit. Fuck them. Just fuck them. Like, they're not, no. But I think if like we actually had some like, you know, because even Sam Harris fucking had Charles Murray on, and they fucking discussed like populations and genetics and IQ, and like they're fucking like shit like that. If we had more stuff like that, yeah, and I know, like, you know, Sam Harris is a fucking, you know, lefty and a Zionist, but just like, but still, like, he had that conversation with Charles Murray, and on the whole, it does, you know, and he's like mainstream. You know, if we had, just, we need to be pragmatic. Like, if we have like the more radical elements, and like we, you know, we have Pierce, we have Rockwell, they're sort of like our Malcolm X and our Farrakhan, and then if we have like, you know, where I kind of want to come in is like, you know, I'm not comparing myself to Gandhi, but like in terms of just like my strategy and my message, I look to Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, like Martin Luther King, and like, it's like, like, I know some people are gonna like create a fucking straw man on what I'm saying. It's like, oh, he's a fucking traitor, fuck the, but it's like, no, just in terms of strategy, not like, you know, just if you recognize that they fought for their people and they had a strategy and they had a movement, and you just study the dynamics of that movement, you know, that's what the culture of critique does, is it just studies the evolutionary strategy of the Jewish people. And it's a great strategy. And I think that we could just, you know, like sports, you know, treat this more like sports, and just look at each other's strategies and then beat them at their own game. And we will make America great again. We will have the West great again. We will make the West great again. Fuck, I can't talk. But so, yeah, that's just a little bit of my thoughts on strategy. I think that we could be a little bit more pragmatic. We could, you know, we could not get rid of ego, because that's impossible. I mean, it's the ego that's saying that. The ego's always there. But if we could just kind of massage the ego a little bit, you know, be a little bit more zen, that would be really powerful. All right, so I guess to tie it up to this semester, so this semester, I joined a fraternity. You know, on the school that I won't say the school that I went to because I don't want to dox myself, but the school that I went to was actually, I don't have any complaints about the school in particular, although it, you know, 4 out of 5 of my professors were actually, I respected them. It was just one fucking anthropology teacher who was like promoting this SJW nonsense, and the other classes were like, I actually learned something. You know, like my math teacher, oh my God, I love this guy. He would tear everybody. I wish this guy went to fucking, went into business or Wall Street, because he is such a smart ass. I mean, like, all the STEM kids loved him because they're like autistic and they're spurgy and they like love math. They're not, you know, I guess that means the vaccines didn't really get to me. No, I'm kidding. Like, okay. But so, just being a troll. But like, so because the college culture is like so fucking laxed, like you give these kids assignments, just read like 50 pages, just read fucking 50 pages out of a book. Like, and you give them 2 days to do it. So that's like 25 pages a day, or even just like, or even 50 pages a day. And like, it's like, okay, read 100 pages by like, read half a book by the next time we go to class. It's like, they would bitch and complain. It's like, I get, we're gonna get this. It's like, bitch, I ran a business. I joined a fraternity. I fucking did all this other shit with my friends. I was in the guitars. I did all this shit, and I was still able to like be on top of my homework for the first half of the semester. For the second half of the semester, I didn't give a shit. But for the first half of the semester, I was really on top of my shit, and you know, work out and do all this shit, and it was not that fucking hard. It's like, really, it's like, you know, and even if it's, we read this fucking book called Sidewalk, which is about these fucking homeless people, and the fucking Marxist cunt professor, this fucking jerk off, had the fucking balls, the chutzpah, to say that, okay, oh, instead of like solving homelessness by like these people getting off of their own fucking bootstraps and getting a fucking job, these fucking poor din-do-nothings who piss in the streets and smoke crack, that it was like it was systemic racism that keeps them there. It's like, yeah, fucking Whitey is like putting a gun to your head and like forcing you to stay on the street and smoke crack and piss on the fucking walls. It's like, yeah, fuck you, you fucking jerk off. And then his solution was, it's like, oh no, like let's not just like create a program so that way like, oh, we employ like homeless people get a fucking job in an apartment and like make something of themselves instead of being fucking bums. Like, oh, like instead of that shit, it was like fucking, except for the vets. I mean, like if you're a veteran or just like certain circumstances like that, like absolutely take care of the homeless. Like, no, I have compassion. But like in the homeless people that I've fucking met, these, you know, on 2 occasions, this has happened to me where they're a fucking Wall Street salesman in fucking like bags. Like they fucking give me a sales pitch. Like I was like, I saw one of my guitar teachers play a show, and you know, I'm fucking going back to my car, and this guy comes up to me and he says, hey, my man's Todd, man, and gave me a story about how he went to prison and shit, and he really killed myself, and he's giving me the sales pitch. And so, I had a choice between like a 50 or a 1, and I just gave him the 50, but it's, afterwards I felt like really gross and kind of taken advantage of. I didn't feel good. Like I have like fucking Belvitas in my car. I'm not like, no, I'm not trying to like, I'm just saying just a story that's how it's relevant to this book. I'm not trying to say I'm a saint or anything. But like, but like I gave him the fucking 50 because I felt bad, and and it was like it was a Christmas gift. But anyways, so it's like, and then the same thing, like just like 2 months ago, like a friend of mine and I were like coming from an open mic night, and like we each gave him like $10. And he was like, and they do this shit where it's like they keep trying to like they know what they're fucking doing because they try to shake your hand and like make a lot of hand contact, like a lot of like, and so they get to like, and they try to be all charming and have a sales pitch, man, and like, be really chill. And it's like they want your fucking $20. I gave them $20 in fucking Belvitas. It's like I don't give a shit. But at the end I felt kind of, I'm just gonna stick with like, I think I'll give like books or something or like fucking Belvitas because I don't. You teach a man, you give him a fish, he eats for a day. You teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. But so it's like this motherfucker the guy was a fucking sociologist Jew. Like he's saying how capitalism is fucking evil. Meanwhile, like he makes a profit off of that fucking book. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, maybe he donates some or whatever to like, I'm sure, maybe he does something for homeless people, but like he is using it as like a political agenda. He's using the homeless to like promote his own thing, and he's promoting a victim mentality, and he most likely makes a fucking profit from it. I mean, now granted, to not create a straw man, I looked at the end and he did put in some of his own fucking money to do the research or whatever, but it's like, anyways, but just like, the solution is not to fucking it's just the entire fucking class basically was just the narrative of like the fucking, I really doubt any fucking kid in that class would have given a cent to help the homeless. And like I even told in just the entire Marxist agenda is like okay, like I try to be like generous with my cash or whatever and like tip well, like just because it's like, get the fucking karma flowing around, man. Like whatever comes around goes around. But so we're all just the same being, like living in another life, man. But like, they're not. What pisses me off is that like they're not setting these kids up for success. It's like this fucking teacher and everybody in that fucking class doesn't give two fucks about the homeless. They're all just like upper middle class kids in their fucking white, liberal, lily white communities. And it's hypocrisy. It's just total hypocrisy. They just sit there. They have this silver spoon in their fucking mouths, like their parents pay for their fucking college, and yet they want college to be fucking free. Whereas like working people, they never complain about fucking privilege. And like I even told a Marxist kid this, like a bit of advice. Here's how you support the working man. Like a tire fucking broke down, and just taking the time. So my fucking car broke down. No, my wheel, because I wasn't paying attention. And so then I pull up, and then like not even a block away, there was a fucking Hispanic-owned shop. And so the guy's like, I was like, how much does it cost to fix a tire? And I had a spare. So he's like, oh yeah, it's only $15. And so like I was like, oh my god. So I gave him fucking 30. I doubled it because I was just so grateful that like it was right there. And then they taught me a bit of Spanish, and they're like, yeah, maricoron, yeah, it's faggot. And then I was like, oh, maricoron, these fucking college kids, maricoron. And I was like, yeah, I'm a gringo with flavor. But it's like, if you want to support the working class, like, you go to McDonald's or you fucking restaurant, or you're getting your car fixed, just fucking tip the person. Just like pay double what it is. If you really put your money where your mouth is, because you're a middle class weenie, you're more financially successful than they are. You're in a better position economically. You're higher on the socioeconomic status. So if you really believe in this shit, this Marxist bullshit of distributing the wealth, you can start by distributing the wealth yourself, you little faggot, like I do. which is what business people do because we're very generous. We actually do distribute the wealth. The generous among us, not all of us, but you know, the generous among the business people actually do distribute their wealth. It's just that you don't see it, and so, God. But so I told this fucking communist kid, in the fucking cap, like I was like, hey, Che Guevara, and you know, I'm telling him this story, and then I was like, yeah, so if you basically like if you really believe in the and he's like, if you really believe in your Marxist agenda, you need some shekels, you know, like fucking for fuck's sake, like even Marx, you know, got his shekels from fucking Frederick Engels. You know, you need some capital, some fucking shekels in order to get anything going. And so, for fuck's sake. And so, he's like, yeah, man, I don't believe in money. And it's like, yeah, so you're a weak bitch cunt. Just shut the fuck up. You don't even believe in this shit. You just hate rich people, and you're just ungrateful for everything that you have. You're a fucking child. Like college is an adult daycare center run by children of all ages. That's the conclusion I've come to. However, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm dropping out and I'm starting my own business, but I want to be really clear on this. Like, I really don't have anything against the university I went to. It's just the society and college culture in general, and it's just not for me. Whereas I think for, you know, some of the NEETs, some of those kids should go to fucking college and get some discipline, go to the fucking library, expand their knowledge, and like really get wise. I think for some of the fucking NEETs, I think university and getting a job would be fucking necessary because they're not starting businesses. They're not working. Whereas I was working all throughout high school doing this and working with clients. So I have that, you know, working with everybody under the sun. And I have now it's to the point where I can make enough cash flow to where I could even move out if I wanted to. But I won't because I'd rather put the money in other things. Like software and the content and so forth. I mean, like by 2020, I probably will move out. But, you know, I'm like 20 years old, so no pressure. But anyways, I do have, you know, I've got enough cash coming in. So now I can say, you know, fuck college. Whereas a lot of other kids can't really say that. And I think they need the experience, and it's really necessary for them. But, you know, if you do want to go to school, what I suggest you do, you know, just the idea of going to school for arts just puts a bad taste in my mouth, frankly. You know, I even went to a community college last year, and like, I ended up having like 3 fucking Photoshop classes, and it was so fucking boring. I mean, I learned some things about like design and stuff like that, and where I could improve composition, but you know, and then the next semester, like I took an After Effects class and I just destroyed absolutely everybody. I mean, of course, you know, I just, like, the guy would assign, it was a 2-hour class, the guy would assign a project, and by the end of the class, my homework would already be done. Like, I wouldn't pay attention to what he was saying. I would just do the assignment, crank it out, and I had an A in the class. As expected, because I do tutorials all the fucking time. Not to brag. But it's like, it's just, like, honestly, at least with my fucking grandparents, it's like, you know, my grandfather, like, he would work with his father because they were fucking poor. You know, and even, like, the people I look up to are, like, the working class and the rich. Because the working class, like, if something fucking goes wrong in the house or a pipe or something, like, everybody's working and everybody works together. They have a system to fix it. And same goes for the rich. You know, they have the guy has a business and they have a lot of fuck you money. And so they'll just fuck it. Oh, you know, something goes wrong, they fucking hire. But these fucking middle class people, like, the fucking middle class really fucked up this country. I think that's one of my favorite William Pierce American Dissident voices, is like how badly the middle class fucked up this country. Like, the middle class are fucking poor people that just live a little bit more comfortably, and they don't have, you know, quite the work. You know, they have their 9-to-5 fucking jobs, and then they come home, they fucking watch TV or play video games, and it's just they're fucking, like, I mean, I've actually been getting fights like getting in some arguments with, like, my family about this shit because like I started reading The 4 Hour Work Week and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and those are great books. I highly recommend them. And it's like, now that I'm starting to get like successful, it's just like anytime I hear bullshit about like going to school or all this stuff, like it caused a little bit of turbulence for me personally about like dropping out of school, and my mom or family and everything. God, it's like, I do not listen to the 2 cents of, like listen to advice, like listen, people, your family cares about you, but like, the fucking obnoxious 2 cents about like, oh, we want what's best for you. And it's like, no, you want to fucking live vicarious through me, you fucking asshole. Like, stop telling me what to fucking do. But it's like, I've just had enough of, the bullshit. It's just I'm going to dial it back and get a little bit more zen. Get that NPR voice, go back to being a Buddha. But like, there's so much bullshit that we are fed, just as a society. And what I want everybody listening to this to do is like really focus on growing yourself and learning how money works, learning how business work. And, the 4-hour work week will change how you view work. And you can still, go to school, get a degree, and go to IT or engineering. So that's actually my advice is to get it back. So it's like, if you want to go to school, then, psychology is good, although there's some bullshit in there. But like, if I ever go back to college, if I ever need the training, I would probably go and go for psychology, master's in psychology. And then another one was, going for STEM fields. Computer science is really huge. Law, engineering, all these things would be great to go to school for. If you really want to like get an education, go there, get an education, do the assignments, try to get into a good school, really research the place before you go. I just kind of winged it and I happened to get lucky with the school. I didn't really do much research. I went down to a couple, I visited like one school and like that was like, okay, I'm just going to go to this one because a friend of mine I know fucking high school likes it. And, but just don't go in for fucking arts for the love of God, or like political science or philosophy. If you want to get into that, then look into that stuff on your own and then find a way to make it profitable. Start a YouTube channel, get some eyeballs and make a product and get it, do seminar, whatever. Just find a way. If you're going to do that route, you can do it, but you have to find a way to make it profitable. It's very hard. Creative people are shit at business. They're shit. And, I've been working with people, everybody knows me, everybody loves me, to get my Trump pants on. But it's like, like artists are shit business people. Like I know, it's like how many of us know the fucking struggling artist? Like I know that's like, whenever you say like, I'm going to go out and do video editing or like fucking music or whatever, they're like, yeah, that's nice. But you're probably going to end up working at Starbucks. Well, I'm like getting my comfy 6-figure salary and having my BMW and my wife and kids with a job that's okay, but that's all that really matters, man, is the money. Whereas like, then like that's their fucking pull, their fucking shitty ass middle class fucking values, their bullshit plan, and then they're fucking miserable and they don't even know why, and then they just get on antidepressants. And then at the other end, you have like the fucking starving artist who's like, yeah, I don't need money, man. Like, just, I'm not materialistic, man. But it's like, oh, could I borrow like $500? By the way, could I borrow $500? Yeah, I'm missing the rent, man. And like, and it's like, both ends. Like, people who are conservative and you want to get the education, I understand. It's like, you want to make your parents just don't want you to be a broke ass bitch. That's the fucking bottom line. As long as you're not a broke ass bitch, as long as you're able to fucking do what you like and pay the fucking rent, that's all they give a fuck about you. That's all they give a fuck about. Like, they're not out to make you miserable and all this shit. They just don't want you to be, all starry-eyed and fucking, trying to be a rock star and anyways. But so, yeah, just don't, if it's arts, philosophy. Maybe you take a class or two, but like I think college is for like the square fields for becoming a little bit of a wage cuck, a middle class cuck. And that can be good for a while. And if you do go into engineering, I still think it's good to go into business. You know, maybe look into real estate, stocks, you know, creating some kind of product that will generate passive income on the side. And then you will have, you know, a little bit of extra money. And then if you want to, you can stay at your job if you really enjoy it. Or if it sucks, then you could do your business. That's what Robert Kiyosaki calls minding your own business, where it's like he worked at Xerox for a little bit. He worked for somebody else, but then the way he made the real fuck you money is by like doing stock, real estate, and selling book, you know, royalties, selling books, and all that other stuff. But yeah, so in terms of projects for the summer, I don't want to disclose too much on this, but I do plan on making. I've got a script, ideas for episodes and the seasons. I have a few animators, a concept artist who's really talented. You know, it's probably like I think like 5 people at this point, 3 to 5 people who I think are committed to this project. And so I do want to hire them. And really, you know, the thing is with Omnify, there is the cost of stock footage and software and other things that I really need to buy. And so, you know, I want to pay these people to animate. I want to make, you know, because they have jobs, they're very busy, but they're very talented, and I want to pay them as much as I possibly can afford without going bankrupt. And so, if you'd like, it's no obligation, but if you would like to get some of these projects rolling faster, help me get software. I want to get Octane, Xparticles, go crazy with Cinema 4D, hire these animators. If you want to speed up this process, you know, I can work for clients and make money that way. But if you really want to help, you know, get the high quality content as like quickly, efficiently, and high quality as possible, my PayPal email is omnifymedia@gmail.com. Send me some shekels if you're interested in some of these projects, and really helping us like basically like reboot the fucking movement. In terms of other projects for the summer, I'm thinking some William Pierce videos. There's also clients that I want to collaborate with who are within our circles, who I think are pretty cool. What else is there? Maybe I'll get some of the Photoshops going back again. Maybe some Malcolm X videos, Louis Farrakhan. I mean, that's always good to have in there. Let me actually... There's some trippy stuff I want to make that I think would be really funny. There's like a Hunter S. Thompson video, like it's a parody of Hunter S. Thompson, but it's related to trolling journalists. A friend of mine wanted to create an alternative to Vice, where it's like it's a platform that just it reports things, but it doesn't attack our people, and it's an effective alternative to the fucking soy boys. God, like the Huff Post and all that shit, just fucking lame. There's another project I wanted to do about the migrant crisis, where it'd be 3D and really powerful. Let me find the other ones. Maybe at some point. And I'm just tossing, but maybe, you know, I'll keep that one secret. I'll keep that one secret because it's going to take a lot of, I'll have something to show for that before I mention that one. But it's really cool. Projects of Mischief. Yeah, maybe make some Katy Perry, take some of Katy Perry's songs, turn them into videos. Yeah. Dr. William Pierce, Thinking About a White Future. Some retro wave stuff. Question of Sanity. Oh, and Prabhupada. I wanted to, oh yeah, and like We Dem Goys, some of the right... Yeah, by the way, if anybody knows Right Wing Death Squad or is in touch with him, please put me in contact, because it's been a while since I've talked to that guy. Yeah, Right Wing Death Squad. Man, he had some really cool stuff, and I might want to take some of Right Wing Death Squad's songs, you know, the Blink 1488, We Dem Goys, that was a great rap, and take some of those and put them into videos. And then I want to make a documentary about the Hindu NS connection, because it's actually funny because last summer I went to Warped Tour, and there was this Krishna monk, actually, this guy who was like handing out Bhagavad Gitas and stuff. And so my friend and I were talking about like Zen and spirituality, and then this guy just comes up to me and he's just like, "Hey, you look spiritual." And then it was the strangest thing. And then you know, I tell him some of my thoughts about spirituality and what it means to me, and then, you know, I gave him the $20, and he gives me like The Science of Self-Realization by Prabhupada, and the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and also The Perfection of Yoga, which was a pamphlet. But yeah, and it was really cool. And then and my mom's like, "That's the Hare Krishna are a cult." Yeah, they well, I mean, it kind of turned out that way, unfortunately. That's the problem with a lot of religions, is, you know, when they become institutions, and it deviates from the original message. So Prabhupada was actually, you know, from what I've heard about him, he would even, when they were setting up a meal, he would make sure everybody had a plate, and that he would be the last to eat. Like, he was just so, you know, and somebody asked, you know, somebody asked him, "What are you trying to do?" And he's like, you know, I'm a humble servant of God, or I'm trying to be a humble servant of God. So the guy, I mean, yeah, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, I mean, and there's even, you know, there's parts of it where he says, you know, the Aryan is he who rejects materialism and is a pure heart. You know, and I think there's a part of the Bhagavad Gita as it is even where he says that like multiculturalism will destroy nations and civilizations. So they're very fascinating. And you know, and there's also Savitri Devi, who, you know, the lightning and the sun, and she was into Hinduism as well. But yeah, so I'm thinking it would be kind of interesting to see, like, I mean, kind of the way I think of it now is like, there's my spirituality, which is, I hate this New Age, you know, I hate that term, but yeah, there's like, it's kind of a, you know, like U.S. Anderson, The Magic in Your Mind is a book that I like. You know, even Which Way Western Man actually has, like, early on, it has like the philosophy and the spirituality. You know, and Which Way Western Man was a that was very influential to Pierce's cosmotheism. So, you know, a mix of like William Simpson, you know, Eastern philosophy, Hinduism, Buddhism, and then, you know, my politics and, you know, economics, my business, nationalism, those are a subset of my spirituality now. And so, like, I have this kind of outlook that, you know, personal development, it's kind of like it's the mishmash of, like, you know, personal development, business, entrepreneurship, spirituality, psychedelics, the hippie culture, some of the New Age, law of attraction, and, you know, good old, and then a little sprinkle of good old fashioned American pragmatic patriotic values. All right, so let me go back to my notes. Yeah, so I guess I will leave it at that. I'll try to have some more stories for the next one. I just kind of wanted to give you a rundown of you know, what's going on, some of the projects that I have, you know, where I've been and where I'm going now. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my stupid ass. Yeah, fucking A. 1488.